Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. We're going to add some fighting words. But before we go any further, I need for you to like this video and also please subscribe to my channel. So we finally have it. We got the rematch coming with Brian Castano and Jermell Hitman Charlo. I'm excited about that. Yes, I am. Listen, there's a lot of questions that were unanswered. A lot of people believe that Brian Castano won that fight with Jermell Charlo in the first fight, and I'm one of the people who believes that. It's funny. Jermell Charlo, he did all his rah-rah when he lost to Tony Harrison, but honestly, I felt like Brian Castano could have done the same thing after that fight, because there's a lot of people like, hey, you might have been saved by some judges tonight. You know, um, it's going to be a tough fight. I never felt like Jermell wanted the rematch. I don't think he was running away from it, but I also don't feel like he was running to it. He was talking about, oh, I'll fight Jarrett Hurd. I personally believe the little scuffle with Jarrett Hurd was a little formulated, but I could be wrong. But honestly, I just believe that, it kind of looked like two guys like, hey, I'm in the front row. Come on down and smack my hat off my head or something like that. Like I could be wrong, but quite frankly, that's kind of what it looked like to me. It didn't look like anything that serious. And not to mention, if it was that serious, where one guy actually puts his hands on another guy, you're talking about two prime professional fighters, and nothing happened. So I really don't believe that was all what it really was or what it was made out to be honest with you. But I'm not saying it was a ploy so that he would not have to fight Brian Castano. I'm not saying that. I don't know anybody personally, so I'm not saying that. But I just thought it was kind of ironic that out of nowhere, of all people that he runs into, and then he has a little mini altercation with is that's all I'm saying. However, we all want to see you fight Brian Castano. I've said this before. This is what the people want. We want to see you fight, that guy who almost, and in some of our eyes, beat you. I seen there were great moments in the fight where Jermell had his foot on the gas, and then there were moments in the fight where he actually had his foot on the gas, and for some strange reason, he took his foot off the gas. I don't understand why. Hopefully, in this fight, he can answer all those questions. He did not look comfortable at all when he was on the rings. Like, that dude did not look comfortable. He did not look comfortable fighting a close fight with Brian Castano. And Brian Castano, every time he would get Jermell Charlo to the rings, he would just open up. And you can tell that was the game plan. Get him to the rings to open up. Don't let him get in open space. Don't let him get in the middle of the ring where he's comfortable and where he's got space to jab. Don't let him do any of that. Because you see, when he was doing that, he had control of the fight. I definitely think they're going to work on that. It's a lot of times you can't see, or I don't want to say you can't see, but a lot of times you're like, well, exactly what went wrong? You look at a fight like theirs, it was pretty clear cut. Back him up. Back him up. When you have pressure fighters, when you have power punching pressure fighters like a Jermell Charlo or a Triple G, a lot of times they're just not used to going backwards. So if you back them up, it's just like, whoa, like they kind of just shell in because they're not used to going back. They're not used to going back. And Castano, he backed him up, and every time he backed him up, Jermell looked extremely uncomfortable, and he didn't want to he didn't want his back to be there. But it also seemed like he really didn't know what to do because honestly, he doesn't spend a lot of time with his back to the rope, and you can clearly tell, defense is not something that they work on in Texas because he kind of looked lost. There's a few ways that you could combat that. I think in this upcoming fight, you need to know how to tie a man up and twist out. Who's perfect at that? Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter. Listen, if you can get Kenny Porter to come into your camp for like 3 weeks and teach you just how to do that, I think you'll have this fight in the bag. But he didn't look comfortable backing up. He didn't look comfortable with his back against the ropes, and he did not look comfortable Like he didn't fight back. He kind of just shelled up. Now, granted, Brian Castano is not a soft puncher, so it just could have been that those punches are hurting and he really didn't know what to do. He did get hit a few times where it hurt him. But my biggest takeaway from that fight was you need to work on your defense. You need to work on your defense. And he has what I, just consider puncher's disease. I hit hard, so I don't have to worry about anything else. Why? Because I hit hard. No, it doesn't work like that. Ask Mike Tyson. It doesn't work like that. Just because you hit hard, that is not the end all be all. Hitting hard is not the end all be all. Hitting hard is not the answer to every question. Because you could hit hard, but what happens when a guy gets up? I'll never forget when I first started making videos, when this was actually called something else, and I said that Tyson Fury was going to get up. Deontay Wilder will knock him down, but Tyson Fury is going to get up. Now, nobody in the States really knew who Tyson Fury was, but I've always liked UK fighting, boxing, so I knew exactly who he was. And I'm like, this dude's going to get up. And people just roasted me like, he's not getting up. That's what happens when you're a power puncher and you put a guy down and you're an experienced power puncher and you think you got a guy out. But what happens when he gets back up? Well, I just hit you with my best shot. I'm not really sure. I don't plan for plan B, so I don't really know. I guess I could swing it again and see what happens, but that's the problem when you're just some massive power puncher. You're not really sure what to do when a guy can take your punch or he can get up from your punch. And Brian Castano, he took the punches. I'm not saying he didn't get hurt. There were a few times where Jermell Charlo clipped him, and that's what I was talking about earlier when he had him like. There was 2 times in particular in the fight that he had him, and for some reason, he just stepped off the gas. I don't know why. I don't know if he was sore. I don't know, if he was just tired. It was mid-fight. But he definitely had him hurt. He was in pursuit, and then he just took his foot off the gas. And then Castano was saved by the bell because Charlo could have hit him a few more times. He easily could have followed that up. I'm not saying he could have taken him out, but that next round would have been a lot easier for him had he just followed it up. That's all I'm saying. So they both have things to work on. Honestly, Castano, he's going to, listen, this whole shelling up thing, it's not going to work. You need to probably just go to the body. You're the shorter guy. You have shorter arms. Maybe you should go to the body and veer off, cut off to the side, cut off to that side, whatever you got to do. Don't stand in front of Jermell Charlo like you did last time. That high guard is not going to work. It didn't really work, in the opening rounds, and he had you hurt a few times in the middle rounds, so that's not going to work again. And that is his bread and butter. And please do not give Jermell Charlo space to operate. So that's not going to work. You need to think about, going to the body early and cutting off. Go to the body, cut off. If you hurt him, then yeah, you stay. But if not, you hit him and you cut off. With Jermell, I would just say you need to learn how to tie a man up and angle out. Again, Shawn Porter is a master of it. That dude is a master of it. Terrence Crawford fighting Shawn Porter, he actually did it really well. He did it extremely well. He tied up Shawn Porter. And he was never on the ring longer than a few seconds. You look at everybody Shawn Porter's ever fought, and once they get in that ring, they kind of stuck there, until a bell rings or, they're just kind of stuck in that place. But if you put Shawn in that place, he knows how to tie up, twist out. So you need to learn how to do that. You need some defense. You need to learn how to do some infighting, some wrestling. Even, listen, it is a fight. Make it dirty, throw an elbow in there, because it is a fight, listen, worst case scenario, you get called on it and he'll say, hey, don't do that anymore. And you'd be like, my bad, but at least you're not tied up anymore, right? And if he's a fair ref, you could do that at least one more time before he actually takes that point. But that's what you need to do. Another thing with Jermell Charlo, I'd probably say, don't overcommit. He has a big problem with overcommitting his punches where he'll overstep. And again, that was one of the things that Castano he took advantage of. Just his overstepping. When you overstep, you're off balance, and it's easy to get you on that rope because all he has to do is twist out or twist around, or he could just simply muscle you down and push you over or whatever the case may be. Again, it's a fight. There's ways to take advantage of somebody who's overstepping, who's overly committing. There are ways to do that. So they both have some things to work on. They definitely both have some homework, and it's all going to show the night of, who was doing what in camp, who actually took the time to go back and then realize what he did wrong in that fight, or he did right in the fight, and see if you can do some more of that. But I feel like you don't need to look at what you did well. I feel like in that fight, you need to look at what you did wrong. And it's such a clear-cut thing of what each guy did wrong that this next fight should be very, very compelling. But you know the routine. I want to hear what you have to say. So please drop a comment down below. And as always, like and subscribe.